Hey, what's up out there? It's Dave Duford here at Final Expense Agent Mentor, where I help agents like you raise your knowledge to become better, more knowledgeable, experienced, and successful insurance agents. And in today's video, I'm specifically doing a catalog on some recent insurance books that I've read over the past month and a half. If you've been following my videos for some time, especially in the current year, 2018, you know that I've done a big commitment towards just totally immersing myself in insurance sales training knowledge. I've got a big bookcase over here, probably with 40 or 50 different insurance books, maybe not that much, but it's a lot. And what I'm doing here today is just to update you on what I've been reading and to encourage you on picking these books up yourself. You can find them either in the links below, or you can just go to Amazon and buy them directly from Amazon. If there are links below, I haven't even bothered to put them in yet, but if there are, they're affiliate links. You pay me a commission basically by clicking and buying there, but if you don't want to do that, don't worry. My purpose in doing this is just to share some knowledge and some books that I think are pretty good. So I've got, let's see here, like 7, I think. So I got quite a few, and I'm telling you, all of these are worth buying. Some more than others if you're a Medicare agent or if you're in business insurance sales. So kind of pick 1 or 2 of these, make a commitment to read them. I am committing myself, just so you know, to 1 book a week. I've read it's halfway through the year, I've probably read more than 24 books, so I'm right on schedule, and it's been great. I learned a ton and have read way more. I've always been a pretty consistent reader, but I've done a lot more than I have to begin with. So the first one here I'm going to show you here is a book by a guy named Michael Bonilla. It's called How to Sell Index Universal Life Insurance. Amazon is where I go to, of course, splurge on buying books. It's kind of all I do with my money, apparently. And I saw Mr. Bonilla had a bunch of books out, and I figured I wanted to get the IUL book because I've never really sold an IUL, and I wanted to conceptually understand it better. You can tell it's a thin book. There's not a lot to it. It's really more of a generic sales approach on to sell the IUL product from a supplemental life insurance retirement plan, not as just a one product solution, but as a way to be more holistic in selling the idea of retiring and adding in an IUL to supplement that process. So you can kind of see as I go through here, I don't know if you can see too much here, but you get like visuals here. You do, let's see here. Yeah, visuals, charts, graphs, stuff that you can use in your presentation to make the point that you're making. I've read about half of it. I'm going to finish it up. It's a very quick read. I probably only read it for about 25 minutes, and I'm halfway through, probably less than that. But it's helped me understand, even halfway through, a better idea of IULs and where you would use them and why you would. And so I think if you're interested in something like this, check out Michael Bonilla's stuff on Amazon. You will see a bunch of books. I'm planning on purchasing a couple more so I can do in a later review video. I like his stuff so far. If you happen to know him, by the way, or Michael, if you're listening, I tried messaging you on Facebook. I'd love to do an interview with you and kind of pick your brain and let my audience kind of get to know you a little bit more. So would love the opportunity. So next book here is The Napkin Advisor. You can see at the bottom here, 50 Ways to Present Income Protection Concepts on the Back of a Napkin. So I like this book because, first of all, it's geared around disability insurance sales. And the concept is you meet with somebody at lunch, usually a white-collar professional, business owner, and you use the back of a napkin, right, to display the idea that you're trying to sell. So if you look through here, they even kind of tell you how it looks like, how you would do it on a napkin, and then they give you the description of the particular idea. Again, there's 50 of them total, I think, yeah. So the one I liked here, I'll just share you with this one. This is a classic way to sell disability insurance or to sell the disability concept. It's called Job A versus Job B. And basically, the presentation is you put Job A down. I'll put it on here on the camera for you. You put Job A down, and you're going to make $100,000 a year. But if you get sick or hurt and can't work anymore, you're not going to make anything. Job B is you make $98,000 a year. And if you get sick or hurt and can't work anymore, you make $60,000 a year. Question to you, Mr. Jones, is which one of these jobs would you rather have? And so the idea here is to conceptually sell the idea of what disability insurance does, which of course is replace an income if you become hurt and are unable to work. And so this is, again, a classic way to sell disability insurance. It works very well. And there's all sorts of other ones on here that you can use. So if you sell disability insurance, definitely pick it up. Or if you have any interest in it, I would definitely recommend it. So a couple of books here are not going to be so much so related to insurance as just generic information. This one here is called What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains, The Shallows, by Nicholas Carr. This one's a little bit old. They still talk about MySpace in the book. It's 2018. If you're younger than 20, you probably don't even know what MySpace is. But the concept of the book it's interesting. It leads with the idea that we're going to talk about the internet and what it's doing to our thinking process, but it takes you through, the reader through, the arc of humanity as we begin to learn by the basic oral tradition and the limitations of oral tradition. And then it goes into learning through the written word and the limitations people have. And then when the Gutenberg press came out, which is basically the mass production of print, and how that basically revolutionized knowledge. And it allowed human beings to absorb information quietly and in a focused manner, and were allowed in that process to more effectively organize and absorb information. And how we've been doing that for the past, I think, 500 years approximately, maybe a little less than that. And then contrasting that to how the nature of the internet is and how it disrupts your learning process. I mean, think about it. It's kind of funny because here I am on a YouTube video, right? Basically criticizing the learning process of the internet. I'm actually going to do a video on what I think the biggest weakness is of YouTube learning in general. But the idea behind this is that we're so distracted, right? You know, you're probably watching this. It's very likely that you're looking at the comments, you're looking at the other videos that are being displayed. You may be having a couple other web pages open, listening to me talk, and that's totally cool and fine. I mean, I do that stuff all the time. But the point the book makes is that when you have these distractions that are pulling you away from the material, it highly reduces what you actually absorb from the information. I am personally what's known as, somebody has Picard syndrome. If you watch enough of my videos, you'll hear me mention it a couple of times. Picard syndrome is what, if you ever watch Star Trek, if you're a dork like me, the Next Generation, Jean-Luc Picard was the captain. And you'd always see him reading a book. You wouldn't see him with a phone or whatever, some electronic book or a Kindle for whatever it was in the Star Trek episodes. He just couldn't absorb the information. It didn't feel right. He wanted to smell the pages. He wanted to see the information. He felt more of a connection to the book when it actually had a physical presence. And I think part of the reason I'm attracted to that too, and that's how I operate, is because I feel like I absorb information much more fully, much more in depth. I mean, you can see everything I'm showing you and have shown you has been actual physical books. So I share this with you. Hopefully I'm not boring you to death, but it's a really good book because it tells you about the limitations of learning when you're on the internet and the distractions that move you away from actually focused, in-depth learning that's meaningful and significant and actually gets you somewhere. So, of course, besides watching all my videos in complete full length, shut everything off. Don't watch anything else. But anyway, it's a good book. I would definitely recommend it. Here's a great book. This is Brian Tracy, How to Eat That Frog. That's what it is. 21 Great Ways to Stop Procrastinating and Get Done More in Less Time. So I'm a big Brian Tracy guy. One of my first books I read was Advanced Selling Tactics, I think is what it was, or Techniques. I learned a lot about sales through that. The most profound information and training I've gotten from Mr. Tracy has always been his time management skills. I think that's the best information he brings to the table. I really made a big impact on my own time management a couple of years ago when I learned how to organize my schedule. I learned how to plan out things in great detail down to the 15-minute mark and execute and do first things first. That's kind of the concept with Eat That Frog. The concept of the frog is it's that one thing that just gets away from you if you don't get it early enough. And a big lesson out of this is identifying what really matters the most in your business. If you're out selling and your job is to make sales and to close deals, you've got to organize your entire life and make it a priority to see the people. It's very easy to get involved in what's called busy work, or avoidance behavior. You know, shuffling papers around, doing paperwork that doesn't necessarily need to be done at a particular time of day. So the big takeaway for you guys in this book, I would definitely pick this up, but a big takeaway is when it's time to sell, you got to sell. From sunrise to sunset, you should be talking to people to sell them. You should be presenting people to sell them. You should be doing anything possible to further along the lines of helping someone buy from you. If you're doing things that are administrative, if you're doing things like even meetings sometimes during daylight hours, you're not in an effective position to be doing what your first job is, which is to sell. So if you are guilty of that, think about it. Don't let it happen. Be good with your time. Organize it. I promise you, a little bit of time management goes a long way. And I'm becoming more of a time management freak after reading some of these videos. All right, next video. Now we're going to move on to next books here, all insurance books at this point. So first one here is How to Sell Long-Term Care Insurance to Mr. and Mrs. Jones, a guide from lead card to sale, from Kurt Vale. This is an older book. I want to say this was probably done mid-2000s. You know, it's interesting. I was asking some agents about what's long-term care sales like nowadays. I've never sold it. And to me, it sounds like it's a business that, if as a lead product, is all but gone, largely because of price increases, of restricted underwriting, and it's just very difficult to do the job, even though there's a huge demand and need for it from a lot of people that I've even talked to in Final Expense. I bought it because I was interested in the product and kind of how it's designed, but also the sales process. And again, it's funny because long-term care, probably a middle market product and above, it is sold exactly the same way as Final Expense. They send lead cards out, they set appointments, they ask what were your thoughts and concerns when you sent the card back. They develop need, ask good open-ended questions, and present a deal and ask for the sale. I mean, it's funny, and even a more advanced product, I think, than Final Expense is sold the same way. Biggest takeaway for me on this one is sales is sales, guys. Just follow what method you've been shown and do it, no matter what kind of products it is that you sell. Probably going to work. All right, next one here. This one's very good. This one is by Mr. Brandon Clay. He is a director of health insurance, or director of Medicare, or something like that at One Life America. His book is 6 Hours to Six Figures. You can see it here. It's a Senior Insurance Advisor Manual and Workbook from 0 to 100K in 12 to 18 months. This guy's interesting. He's been in the Medicare space for decades, and he had a role in the creation of a Medicare Advantage product in Georgia. I think it was through United Healthcare. It may have been through Cigna. If you're watching this, Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong. But he created this book a while back, and the concept behind it is to teach agents how to be a multifaceted senior insurance agent, where one would lead with Final Expense, but then begin to cross-sell other different products, of which include Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, hospital indemnity plans, critical illness plans. Didn't really get into the annuities that much. But the idea is to use a Final Expense lead in order to do all of the above. And he goes through the process of describing how much money you can make from this, why this is a great idea. He describes the basics of Medicare Advantage, why it's a good opportunity to consider to cross-sell. Medicare supplements as well, the basics of Medicare, the products of Final Expense. I mean, it's a really good basic breakdown on these particular type of products. If you're experienced in anything I've mentioned, a lot of it will be normal. It's not, it's like you already know this stuff. But if you're a brand new person to selling insurance and you're interested in a multifaceted approach, this is an excellent book because it takes you from soup to nuts on what you need to do and how the products would work and how to put together a program and a plan to do this. And in fact, one of the things in my 6 to 12 month time horizon here is to implement something similar to what Brandon does, not as my lead approach to helping agents into this business, but as something eligible for agents that want to grow an additional line of insurance, be that probably most likely Medicare Advantage, into their Final Expense mix. So I think it's a great product opportunity. It's definitely worth considering. And the book is excellent. Pick it up. It's pretty expensive. It's like $40 on Amazon. It might be a little less if you do a Google search for Brandon Clay and then put in the title, 6 Hours, 6 Figures. I think it's like $20 there, but it might be a little bit more. But it's good. It's worth the investment. Last book here. This was a surprise. You guys probably have heard of Frank Bettger. The book is How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Sales. That's his most popular book. It's one of the first books that shows up for sales training on Amazon. He wrote a few other books. And while I like that book and is very good, this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is the best book he's ever written. And nobody's ever heard of it. And it's called How I Multiplied My Income and Happiness in Selling. Worst title in the world. Because what this entire thick book here is about, folks, is all about selling insurance. From presentation to rebuttals, objection handling, setting appointments, from what he sells, how he sells, and how he deals with different types of situations. It is the most comprehensive book I have ever seen on insurance sales. Pretty close to mine. But this is more, and I would say, a business, selling to business owners type of book. I highly recommend this. If you work for a captive outfit, you work with business owners, white-collar people, this book you need to pick up. This is incredible. I'm trying to think, there's some particular slides out of here. There's some pretty good stuff. I mean, it talks about, like, you know, when they say they don't have the money, how to overcome that. How to overcome objections and return them around. I don't really have anything particular, as you can tell, pull out of here. I talked to an agent that used to work with me. He works for Prudential now. He runs a small agency. He's growing, hopefully. And I said, dude, you got to pick this book up. It's just incredible. Frank Bettger, anything by him is really good, guys. But if I were to look at all these books I've shown you today, the one I would highly recommend would be this Frank Bettger book. That would be first. I think the time management book is excellent. Just as a way to better hone your time. And you are capable of so much more than you think from a time perspective. So those books helps you kind of segment that down and get better at it. So that's all my books here for you guys. I do hope that you enjoyed this video. I've got a ton more. I bought a new library or book shelf. That's what it's called. It's a library now in here. And I'm continuing to read. So once I get done with a few more books, I'm going to give you guys another update. I think this is pretty important to share this kind of information with you. A lot of, as the old saying goes, leaders are readers. And a lot of growth personally comes from investing time, just 30 minutes a day, guys, into your reading. And you will find a great expansion of your knowledge and capability of understanding how to sell whatever it is that you're selling. And just have more experience, knowledge, and you'll be better prepared to take opportunities when they come to you. So that's why I do these videos. Just to help you out and let you know what's out there. I'll be the ones finding them for you. Just go buy them. Of course, can't help but to mention my book, The Official Guide to Selling Final Expense Insurance. Obviously, the greatest book ever written. You can find that on Amazon, too. So I hope you avoided this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. And have a great Saturday. We'll see you on Monday.